President Bola Tinubu earlier this morning assured Nigerians that all their sacrifices in the last 19 months that he took over power and of course in the months ahead would not be in vain. Well, in his New Year message, the president, who promised to continue to serve the people diligently and wholeheartedly, also listed some of his achievements in the year that just ended, now despite the challenges his government faced. However, setting the agenda for the new year, who listed some of his plans in the message intended to make 2025 a much better year, urged you, Nigerians, citizens, to also play your part in this wonderful, amazing collective interest. Now, joining me virtually to look critically at some of the issues and, of course, expectations regarding everything said and more is Matthew Oluku, a affairs analyst, and it joins me virtually this morning. Good morning and welcome, if you can hear me.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I can hear you.
Thank you as well. Happy New Year, by the way.
Same to you. Same to you.
So tell me, what do you make of the president's New Year's message? Because what we get to see every single year is the president coming out on the first day of the year to address the nation. But it seems not to be so this time around. Why do you think that happened?
Reason he didn't address as I went to. I think that is left to him and his handlers. What should concern us is the address and what we think, the way we think that address can address the challenge collectively face.
So, right, go ahead, please. What do you make of the message? I'm sure you would have seen or looked at some of the issues raised. Can you let me in on your thoughts regarding what the president said in his?
For me, I think um, the message of the president is a message of hope, but I'll quickly say that work that is in spite of the hope, the government needs to take action because the hope itself is not going to translate into results. Talking about the area where the president is talking about reduction of inflation, talking about the area where the president is saying that they are going to give attention, see how they can reduce the cost of medicals. I think in this regard, the government needs to review their policy. Because I don't think those things will work by fiat. Because for me, the major problem or the reason we currently see skyrocketing of medicals is the policy of government. I'm talking about the policy of utilization of effort at the official window. You know that you agree with me that almost all the raw materials that has to do with um, the manufacturing of those drugs are important. Don't forget that before this government came on board, when Muhammadu Buhari was there, the IRE window, which is the official window, exchange rate window, was exchanging for 471 naira to a dollar. That was because it was, and when this government came on board, they unified it, they floated it. The implication is that the exchange rate will escalate, and the consequence is what we are living with. But the point is, as a country that is not producing, that's a mono economy, you want to your currency at the official window, that's the efforts at the official window. What would have done as a people is when you remove fuel subsidy, we understand that the government made us to understand that that will be earning us about 4 trillion at the end of the year. So the right thing to do the money you are free, that 4 trillion, you use it to diversify the economy. Any for when we now start producing, exporting to foreign exchange in other areas sufficiently enough to feed our economy, you can now go back to that window to float it. So for the timing of that education is wrong.
Right.
I've always advocated that.
Okay. So still,
There's some, okay.
so go ahead, please.
No, talking about the issue of the president talking of launching a charter or rather a national orientation to Nigerians see themselves as Nigerians, to make Nigeria patriotic. I think the president should realize that the what he need to do, the people need to get value for governance. That is what will make Nigerians patriotic. When you see Americans wake up, they say, God bless America. They say because of getting from the government, from governance. So in essence, what the president and his handlers and his cabinet members need to ensure that Nigerians get value for governance. And when we start seeing that, I will tell you that the president do not need to launch any national orientation or to start orienting people to see themselves as Nigerians or anything of that nature. Especially where in Nigeria, people produce life for themselves. I'm not saying there's no life, but there's no sustainable power supply for now. And though it's not a making of this government, it has always been, that problem has always been there. But hence we have a government in place. The government had the responsibility to address it. Talking about the issue of water supply that's supposed to be part of social amenity. Nigerians across board produce that for themselves. Come to a place like Lagos here, you see people in different communities arranging on how to secure your neighborhood. And these are purely government responsibility. What I'm trying to say in essence is, if people start getting value, I must tell you that the president do not need to start going that way to launch a national orientation or whatever charter
Okay.
to make
So,
Nigerians
so
patriotic.
if you can hear me, still staying on some of the highlights from President Tinubu's New Year's message this morning. On the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper, it says that Tinubu assures of reducing cost of food, essential drugs in 2025. And then subwriters went ahead to say, says indicators point to positive, encouraging outlook for the country. Declares youth confirmed to begin in the first quarter of the year 2025. I mean, we saw when the president brought out that news during the course of last year, a lot of reactions trailed it. Now, what do you think actually is actually the mindset of the president regarding this youth confirm and how to help the Nigerian youth? Because I remember also saying that the president said one of the major reasons of the youth confirm is to ensure inclusiveness of young persons or younger people, in government. What's your take?
Let us take it from the angle of what necessitated the youth confirm in the first place. Don't forget that the issue of with that idea happened during that end by governance protest.
Right.
Now, I begin to ask yourself, the demand of the youth, the demand of Nigerians, has it been addressed? I would rather advise the president to channel his energy in addressing the concern of Nigerians. Because when Nigerians fell out on the streets, whether in Lagos, in Abuja, in Kano, in Meduguri, in Jigawa, in Delta, the message was one. They were demanding for good governance. Of course, we understand that unfortunately there were wanton destruction of life and property, both on the both sides. It's regrettable. But the point is, the president should address the concern of Nigerians. And their concern is simple. They are talking about the issue of their welfare. I must tell you that the constitution is very clear on that, to the point that I think section 14 of 1999 constitution as amended says that the welfare of Nigerians and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. So for me, I will advise the president to give that priority attention. Because if you address that, the issue of having a confab, youth confab, may not be necessary. Because what actually brought Nigerians on the streets demanding for good governance is because of their welfare. We saw the unfortunate incidents that happened in Abuja, in Anambra State, and in Oyo State, talking about the unfortunate stampede. But however you look at it, these things happen because of one factor, poverty. And I think the Mr. President have a responsibility to address those issues. Because the
Okay.
cover for me will not yield any result if Nigerians still go to bed hungry.
It's interesting to know how you're always particular regarding the welfare of the citizens and everything, because also just recently, Nigeria Labour Congress has asked the government at all levels to ensure that governance translate to real benefit for Nigerians, in all aspects of livelihood, including healthcare, education, transportation, and of course housing. And I did say in the news some time ago regarding ASU wanting to kick off strike this month. Now, how would you react to all of this, and what are your projections for the year 2025, especially regarding NLC and ASU with the strike? Do you think we're going to have, pretty much more strike this year, or what? And how would you advise the federal government
We
to handle some of these issues?
The point is, I sympathize with ASU and of course their members, because particularly NSC as well, I sympathize with their members. The reason I sympathize with them is not far-fetched. Because even if you say you increase the salary of workers, and as we have it today, I think at the federal level is 70,000. Some states have gone above that, maybe 80,000, 70,000, as the case may be. But the point is, the current inflation rate have already eroded whatever benefit, whatever gain they would have recorded in that salary increase. So it doesn't necessarily make any sense to increase someone's salary from 30,000 to 70,000. At the end of the day, the 70,000 in his hand have no value, cannot buy even a bag of rice. So for me, it's not even about increasing the salary. It's about addressing what is the fundamental. And the fundamental is what is causing exchanges to skyrocket. I think we, as a people, as a government, we need to address it. Then to answer our question directly, whether NSC, ASU, we are likely going to see more strikes in this 2025. I do not speak for ASU. I don't know how they may want to view the situation, how they may be able to cope. But judging by my position as a Nigerian, I must tell you that that salary is not going to take them anywhere. They can never be comfortable with that salary under this current scenario, except the government find a way to address the exchange rate and inflation so that the money they have in their hand can have value and meet their demand.
Now, finally, as we tend to leave the conversation here, just to course of the time, and what do you think Nigerians are expecting from the Tinubu-led administration in this new year? Of course, we already know that President Tinubu tagged his budget for the year 2025 as budget of restoration. What are Nigeria's expectations this time around?
Address our welfare, address the issue of insecurity. Let Nigerians go home with their eyes closed. Let Nigerians go to bed with their eyes closed. I must tell you that currently, what you hear, hitherto here in another part of the country is already here with us in the south. If there's a Delta state, of course, that is my state. Some local government like Eka North East, some part of Eka South, you see serious excess of headers. I'm talking about Fulani herdsmen. And as I talk to you, the security agencies are having a hectic time in trying to address it. It is only with the help of the local vigilantes we understand that the people can even go to bed at times with their eyes closed. So the point is, the welfare of Nigerians and their security must be a focal point for the
Okay.
president, for us to say, thank you, Mr. President, you have done well.
Absolutely. The message is loud and clear. Attention should be passed on the welfare of citizens. I mean, we need basic social amenities to ensure that Nigeria is a livable place for us to live in. I really must thank you, Matthew Oluku, for joining us this morning. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I have for you this morning here in the Lagos State, Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's just hope and keep our fingers crossed that this time around and this year, things are going to be better for all Nigerians.